What if I revealed that your penis has been gradually shrinking over the last 20 years without you even realizing it? This isn't an exaggeration. It's a medical fact that many men over 60 are never informed about. Even worse, most doctors avoid discussing it, but I will. I'm Dr. James, a men's health expert with over 3 decades of experience, and I've assisted thousands of men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s in regaining their confidence, performance, and yes, size. Here's the surprising truth. You can actually increase penile length after 60, not just theoretically or wishfully, but through scientifically backed methods that have been hidden away under years of silence and stigma. In this audio, you'll learn about 5 proven techniques to reclaim what time, stress, and hormonal changes may have taken from you. No gimmicks, no harmful pills, just effective strategies supported by clinical evidence. And if you stick with me until the end, I'll share one overlooked food that's producing remarkable results for older men, and it might already be in your kitchen. Before we dive in, if you haven't yet, I encourage you to subscribe and activate notifications so you don't miss any future health insights tailored specifically for men over 60. If you find this video helpful, please type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me create content that genuinely serves you. Let's start with the first method, which is simple, safe, and surprisingly effective. It doesn't require medications or surgery. In fact, it's something you can begin doing today in the comfort of your own home. I'm referring to gentle, consistent stretching. This isn't the type of stretching most men envision. It's a medically endorsed technique that encourages natural tissue growth and has been discreetly utilized by specialists for many years. Let me explain how it works. Penile stretch therapy involves gentle traction. I still recall the first time a 67-year-old patient named Charles looked me in the eye and asked, "Doc, is there anything I can do to feel like a man again? To feel like myself again?" He wasn't seeking ego boosts or youth. He simply wanted to recover a part of himself he felt was fading over the years, his strength, presence, and size. Most men don't realize that as we age, hormonal decline occurs and the physical structure of the penis undergoes changes. The tissue becomes less elastic, blood flow diminishes, and over time, it's common to lose up to an inch or more in natural length. The worst part is that it doesn't happen all at once. It creeps up gradually until one day you look in the mirror and wonder, when did this happen? But here's the good news. The body, even after 60, is far more adaptable than we often believe. One of the most efficient and least invasive methods for recovering lost length is penile stretch therapy. Before you dismiss this as an internet gimmick, let me clarify. This is a technique backed by clinical studies, urological journals, and years of real-world results. The principle is quite straightforward. Just as skin can gradually stretch over time, think about a woman's abdomen during pregnancy or a bodybuilder's expanding muscles, so can penile tissue. When performed correctly and consistently, gentle traction can stimulate the body's natural repair mechanisms. It creates tiny microscopic stress on the tissue, prompting the body to react by generating new cells. Over time, these cells accumulate, the tissue thickens, and the length increases, leading to visible and, more importantly, lasting changes. I want to emphasize that this isn't about pulling or forcing. It's not painful. This is a gentle, slow, and controlled process, more akin to physical therapy than anything else. The best analogy is training a muscle. You don't walk into the gym on day 1 and lift 200 pounds. You start small with proper form and show up consistently. That's how growth happens, safe, steady, and real. For men like Charles, we initiated simple routines he could do privately at home. A warm towel applied for a few minutes to enhance blood flow, followed by slow, outward stretches while in a relaxed, flaccid state for 30 seconds at a time. No pain, no rush, just commitment. Over a few months, he gained nearly an inch in visible length, but more importantly, he regained a deeper sense of pride, confidence, and control over his own body. It's not about striving for perfection, it's about reconnecting with yourself. In a way, many men, especially after retirement, forget is possible. Trust me, there's no age limit to reclaiming control over your body. I've had patients start at 75, and veterans in their 80s express their wish they had learned about this sooner. Here's another insight many don't know. When penile tissue is gently stretched, it doesn't just lengthen, it also becomes more responsive to blood flow. This means improved erections, enhanced stamina, and in some cases, better curvature or comfort. The body wants to heal. It wants to grow. You just need to provide it with the right signal. If you're still with me and wondering, can this really work for me? I encourage you to give it 30 days, just 5 minutes a day. No one needs to know but you, and the mirror will reveal the truth soon enough. However, stretching the tissue is only one part of the equation. What if I told you that your body already possesses a hidden strength, a set of muscles you may have never trained that could enhance not only size but also strength and control? That's what we will discuss next. If you're still engaged with me, please type 1 in the comments to let me know. Now, let's delve into the next powerful insight: improving blood flow with targeted vascular exercises. I once had a patient named Harold, a retired firefighter in his early 70s, who came into my office with a subdued and somewhat embarrassed demeanor. "Doc," he said, "I'm not asking to be 20 again. I just want to feel like the man my wife married." That line resonated with me, not because it was dramatic, but because it was genuine. Men like Harold aren't chasing youth. They're seeking connection, function, and presence. Often the missing link isn't size, it's blood flow. Most individuals view erection issues as a hormonal or psychological problem, but what's frequently overlooked is that erections fundamentally rely on vascular health. Blood flow is crucial. Without adequate circulation, the penis cannot expand to its full potential, not in length, not in firmness, and certainly not in duration. Unfortunately, poor blood flow becomes increasingly common with age, especially after 60 when arteries begin to stiffen and pelvic muscles weaken from disuse. This is where vascular exercises come into play, particularly targeted training of the pelvic floor. You may have heard of Kegels, typically associated with women's health, but many men don't realize these exercises can be even more transformative for male sexual health. When performed correctly and consistently, Kegel exercises strengthen the muscles that support erections, control ejaculation, and regulate blood flow. I've witnessed men in their 60s and 70s who once struggled to maintain an erection for mere seconds suddenly report stronger, longer-lasting performance within weeks. It's not magic, it's simply training muscles that have been dormant for decades. I remember Harold was skeptical at first, joking, "You're telling me I have to work out muscles I didn't even know I had?" I smiled and replied, "That's exactly what I'm saying. The best part is, you don't need a gym membership. These exercises can be done standing, sitting, or lying in bed. No one sees you, no one hears you, but your body knows. And more. Importantly, your partner will too." After just a month of consistent practice, Harold returned with a smile and a spring in his step. "Doc," he said, "I don't know what kind of magic this is, but I haven't felt this solid in years." That's the power of blood flow. It's not solely about mechanics. It's about the confidence that arises when you know your body is working with you, not against you. Beyond the bedroom, these exercises enhance overall pelvic health, including bladder control and lower back support. For penile length and function, they act like a natural pump, delivering more blood to the erectile tissue, encouraging it to expand more fully and frequently. As any vascular specialist will affirm, the more often tissue expands, the more likely It is to grow and adapt over time. The beauty of this method is that it's safe, simple, and backed by decades of clinical research. It doesn't necessitate drugs, devices, or surgery. Just awareness, commitment, and a willingness to reawaken parts of yourself that may have lain dormant with age. Once you start observing results, once you feel that pulse of life returning, you begin to understand something even deeper. You are not done growing. Now, blood flow is a vital piece of the puzzle, but it's not the only factor. Your capacity to grow and maintain length also hinges on your body's internal chemistry, specifically hormones. There is one crucial hormone that gradually declines after age 40, robbing men of energy, performance, and yes, size. But what if I told you there are natural science-backed methods to restore that hormone safely and reignite your body's natural growth signals from within? That's what we're going to explore next. Let's talk about restoring testosterone naturally, fuel for growth. I'll never forget the moment Robert, a 72-year-old retired mechanic, sat across from me with a familiar look of frustration. "Doc," he said, "I eat right, I walk daily, but I feel like something inside me just turned off, like I'm running on half the fuel I used to." He wasn't mistaken. What Robert described wasn't merely a lack of motivations or aging. It was a hormonal shift that subtly impacts every man as he progresses through his 50s, 60s, and beyond. At its core is testosterone. It's not just a sex hormone, it's a growth signal. It instructs your body to build muscle, burn fat, energize, and, importantly, maintain and support the health of penile tissue. When testosterone levels drop, which they inevitably do with age, your body's ability to support healthy erections, proper blood flow, and even penile length is compromised. The tissue becomes less responsive, erections lose fullness, and over time, as hormonal support wanes, men begin to notice declines in both performance and size, even if no one openly discusses it. The reality is, you don't just wake up one day with low testosterone. It diminishes gradually year after year, often starting in your 40s. By the time you reach your 60s, your levels may be halved compared to your prime. Most men assume this is simply a part of aging, and to some degree, it is. But that doesn't mean it's unchangeable. In fact, there are natural, safe, and proven methods to support your testosterone levels, and in doing so, reignite your body's natural mechanisms for growth and function. I've worked with hundreds of older men who believed their best days were behind them, only to discover that by making a few consistent changes, their energy, drive, and even size began to return. Robert was one of them. He began incorporating light strength training into his weekly routine, not intense gym workouts, just bodyweight exercises and resistance bands. Within weeks, his posture improved, his energy surged, and his morning erections began to feel vibrant again. That's the quiet power of testosterone. It doesn't just affect your mood or muscles, it communicates with every cell in your body that still desires to grow and perform. Alongside movement, we examined his nutrition. Many men are deficient in key nutrients that support testosterone production, such as zinc, vitamin D, and magnesium. Once those were addressed through a combination of diet and basic supplements, the shift was evident. He told me, "It's like someone flipped the switch back on. I don't feel old. I feel awake." That moment, that transformation, is something I wish every man over 60 could experience. When testosterone levels rise, everything else rises. Your confidence, energy, and ability to take control of your health again. When the body feels supported, penile tissue responds, erections become fuller, sensation returns, and yes, natural length, especially during arousal, can visibly improve. I want to clarify, this isn't about chasing the hormonal levels of a 25-year-old. It's about restoring your body to its optimal state for your age, removing the silent barriers that have been holding you back without your awareness. While some men may benefit from medical hormone therapy, many can achieve real results through natural lifestyle adjustments alone. The body is always listening. You just need to communicate in its language, and testosterone is one of the clearest signals it understands. 3 months later, Robert returned to my office and said something I'll never forget. He looked me in the eye and declared, "I don't just feel like a man again, I feel like myself again." For most men, that's the true goal. Not vanity, not ego, just reconnecting with who they were before time and age began to chip away at their edge. While hormones provide your body with the internal signals to grow, there's something else your body requires just as much, particularly when it comes to achieving noticeable gains, a natural chemical produced in your own cells that acts as the catalyst behind every firm, full erection. The problem is, its production diminishes with age unless you know how to restore it. That's what we'll discuss next. Let's delve into L-arginine and citrulline, the nitric oxide boosters. There's something deeply humbling about witnessing a grown man, a man who has built a life, raised children, and worked hard for decades, admit with quiet frustration that his body isn't responding like it once did. I remember when Martin, a retired postal worker in his late 60s, came into my office. He wasn't ashamed, he wasn't angry, he was simply tired. Tired of feeling like he was doing everything right, eating well, staying active, yet still struggling to achieve full, lasting erections. He said, "Doc, I'm doing everything I can, but nothing feels strong anymore. I miss that part of me." And he wasn't alone. Most men I see don't realize that beneath all the hormones, emotions, and efforts lies a remarkably simple molecule that controls the engine of an erection: nitric oxide. It doesn't get the headlines or marketing buzz, but it's the reason any man can achieve an erection in the first place. It relaxes blood vessels, opens arteries, and allows blood to flow in fully and freely. Without enough nitric oxide, it doesn't matter how healthy your heart is or how strong your desire may be, your body simply can't respond. The challenge is that nitric oxide production decreases with age. By 60, your body produces significantly less than it once did. The good news is that science has discovered ways to support and even restore nitric oxide through 2 natural amino acids, L-arginine and L-citrulline. These aren't drugs, they're nutrients your body already utilizes. When taken in the right form and amounts, they work together to stimulate your body's natural production of nitric oxide. That's when things start to change. I remember recommending a regimen to Martin. Nothing complicated, just a combination of L-citrulline in the morning, L-arginine in the evening, and a diet that supported healthy blood vessels. After just a few weeks, his tone shifted. He told me, "It's like my body remembered what it used to know." His morning erections became stronger, and his confidence began to return, not just due to physical changes, but because he felt hope again. That feeling of, "I'm not done yet," is incredibly powerful. The beauty of naturally supporting nitric oxide is that it allows the body to do what it was designed to do. No forcing, no trickery, just restoration. When blood flows more freely to the penis, the tissue begins to expand more fully, resulting in firmer, longer-lasting erections. When you combine that with consistent stimulation, whether through exercise, healthy testosterone levels, or traction, your body starts to rebuild and respond to that flow. The tissues stretch, the length returns. I've witnessed this transformation. Repeatedly, men who felt flat, lifeless, even defeated, regaining parts of themselves they thought had quietly disappeared forever. And the best part? The benefits extend beyond the bedroom. Increased nitric oxide improves cardiovascular health, brain function, and energy levels. It makes everything feel sharper and more alive. For older men, these 2 amino acids are like flipping the lights back on, but timing, dosage, and consistency matter. You can't expect to take a single capsule and experience a miracle. It's a process, just a few minutes a day, a few smart choices, and over time, your body begins to respond. That's the gift of this age. While we may slow down, we also gain patience, and patience allows these natural methods the time they need to work. Martin wasn't the only one who told me he felt a decade younger after supporting his nitric oxide levels. I've heard it from veterans, teachers, truck drivers, ministers, men from all walks of life. And I always tell them the same thing. Your body isn't broken. It's simply waiting for the right signal. However, physical growth, blood flow, and hormonal balance only take you so far. There's something deeper that influences how we perceive ourselves, how we connect with our partners, and how we unlock the potential still inside us. It's not physical, it's mental and emotional, and it might just be the most powerful growth tool of all. That's what we'll uncover next. Let's discuss psychological reconnection and visual training. There's a topic we don't address enough regarding men's health, especially at this stage of life. We talk about blood flow, hormones, supplements, and devices, but we rarely discuss how we feel about our bodies as we age. That silence holds power. It shapes us. Because whether we acknowledge it or not, our self-perception and our view of masculinity directly affect how our bodies respond. One of my patients, Alan, a 69-year-old retired professor, shared something during a session that struck me. "Doc," he said, "I think I stopped seeing myself as a man years ago. I still function, but I don't feel like the man I used to be." This wasn't about size or performance. It was about identity, the internal image we carry, and how that image influences everything else. Alan still possessed physical potential, but mentally he had disconnected from that part of himself. That disconnection is more significant than most men realize. Interestingly, modern neuroscience is catching up to what many therapists and holistic practitioners have asserted for years. The mind and body are not separate. They are in constant communication. When we stop believing in our physical strength, our body begins to reflect that belief. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, doesn't cease at 60 or 70. In fact, studies indicate that mental imagery, especially when paired with emotional intention, can lead to real physical outcomes from recovery times to tissue responsiveness. I began working with Alan on something simple yet powerful. Every morning, just 5 minutes of quiet visual training. He would take time to mentally envision his body as strong, capable, and full of energy, not as it was at 30, but as it could be now, right now. We paired this practice with daily affirmations, not vague statements, but honest, grounded phrases like, "I am still growing, I am present, and I am connected to my body." Initially, it felt awkward to him. He even laughed about it. However, after a few weeks, something shifted. He told me he began to look at himself differently in the mirror, not with judgment, but with respect and pride. Slowly, this change in perception started to manifest in the bedroom. Alan experienced increased confidence, greater engagement, and a stronger sense of control. When a man believes he's still capable, his body follows suit. The brain starts sending better signals, leading to improved blood flow, heightened sensations, and often a rebound in length and performance, not due to some miraculous change, but because the mind finally stopped obstructing progress. What I'm emphasizing is this: if you've been burdened by years of shame, doubt, or even quiet resignation regarding your body, it's not too late to release those feelings. You don't have to live under the weight of old narratives that claim you're too old, past your prime, or that this is just how it is now. That story is optional. You have the power to choose a new one that reconnects you with the most important relationship you have, the one between your mind and your body. Visual training isn't about pretending. It's about returning to your body with awareness, gratitude, and strength. I've witnessed this transformation in men from all walks of life, farmers, lawyers, musicians, veterans, who have started to reframe how they view themselves. In doing so, they unlocked real, measurable changes, not just in how their penis functioned, but in how they walked, how they spoke, and how they loved. And the most beautiful part? It's free. It's already within you. No pills, no equipment, no surgery, just 5 minutes a day, and the willingness to see yourself clearly through the eyes of strength, not shame. Now we've journeyed a long way together, covering traction, therapy, blood flow improvement, testosterone restoration, nitric oxide support, and the mind-body connection. But there's still something practical, often overlooked, and shockingly powerful that I want to share with you in this final section. Let's talk about a truth that most men over 60 never hear until it's too late, as well as a simple everyday food that could become your most surprising ally in this entire journey. You won't want to miss this. This isn't about vanity, it's about vitality. Over the past 3 decades, I've had countless conversations with men who have built lives, raised families, survived hardships, and led with strength. Yet, they come to me with one simple, often quiet truth. I just want to feel like myself. Again, not more impressive, not younger, just whole. If there's one thing I've learned through these thousands of conversations, it's that this journey isn't really about inches, pills, or muscles. It's about vitality. It's about reclaiming a part of ourselves that time and stress tried to diminish. Somewhere along the way, many men lose touch with that core feeling, the sense of being truly alive in their own skin, of knowing their body responds and that they still have agency over their health, energy, and yes, even their sexuality. That's not vanity, that's survival. That's dignity. The truth is, there's nothing shallow about wanting to wake up and feel strength in your bones again. There's nothing foolish about a man in his 60s or 70s looking in the mirror and deciding, I still matter. You do. All the methods we've discussed, traction therapy, vascular exercise, hormone support, nitric oxide boosters, mental reconnection, are tools. They're not magic or overnight solutions. They're tools to help you reclaim the version of yourself that you know is still within. I've seen men transform their entire lives by committing to just 1 or 2 of these methods, not out of desperation, but because they were ready to stop settling, ready to stop believing the quiet lie that it's too late. And now I want to leave you with one last piece that many men often overlook. It's not a supplement. It's not exotic. It's something you've probably walked past in the grocery store 100 times without a second thought. Beets. Yes, beets. The same deep red root vegetable that your grandmother might have pickled. What many don't realize is that beets are one of the richest natural sources of dietary nitrates, compounds that your body converts into nitric oxide, the very molecule that expands blood vessels and improves circulation. Several clinical studies have shown that daily beet consumption can significantly increase blood flow throughout the body, including to the penis. When combined with even modest lifestyle changes, the results can be impressive. I've had men start drinking a small glass of beet juice each morning or adding cooked beets to their dinners a few nights a week. Within weeks, they report stronger morning erections, quicker arousal, and even improved recovery times. It's not hype, it's biology, and it works particularly well for older men whose nitric oxide levels have naturally declined, but whose responsiveness to these compounds remains intact. The benefits of beets extend far beyond the bedroom. They can support heart health, reduce blood pressure, and enhance stamina. They nourish your body from the inside out. Simple, honest, effective, just like most good things in life. So, if you're still with me, if you've made it this far, I want to leave you with this. You're not broken. You're not too late. And you're certainly not finished. You are in a season of life where you get to rewrite the rules. You get to choose strength, vitality, and connection on your terms. But before we conclude, I want to share one final thought something I believe every man over 60 needs to hear at least once. It's a truth I've carried with me through years of practice, and it just might change how you view your body and your life moving forward. A new chapter begins. You're not done yet. Every man has a quiet moment when the noise of life settles, when the world isn't watching and he asks himself, is this it? Have I reached the edge of what's possible for me? Far too often the answer he hears, whether from doctors, media, or even his own doubts, is yes. But I'm here to tell you that's not true. Not even close. What I've seen time and again is that possibility doesn't expire with age. It simply waits for permission. We've explored a lot on this journey together. We began with the notion that penile length and performance don't have to fade silently with time, that even in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, the body still possesses the capacity for growth, repair, and renewal. We discussed traction therapy and how gentle stretching can stimulate cellular growth and tissue expansion when done consistently and correctly. That method alone has helped thousands of men reclaim not just inches, but confidence. We examined the critical role of blood flow and how the often forgotten pelvic floor muscles can be awakened to support stronger, longer-lasting erections. Then we delved into testosterone, not as a quick fix, but as the hormone that signals your cells to grow, heal, and thrive. By restoring natural levels through movement, rest, and nutrition, we found a way to breathe life back into what once felt dull or sluggish. We introduced nitric oxide, the silent spark behind every powerful erection. Through L-arginine, L-citrulline, and even simple foods like watermelon and dark leafy greens, we saw how men can provide their bodies with the raw materials they need to perform again. Most recently, we touched on something deeper than chemistry, belief, the idea that your self-perception can directly impact how your body responds. Reconnecting with your masculinity and identity isn't optional, it's essential. When the mind and body align, that's when real change begins. I shared stories because that's how we make sense of our experiences. Perhaps you recognized a part of yourself in Robert, Alan, or Martin, men who weren't trying to chase youth. They were simply trying to reclaim ownership over their own bodies, and they did so slowly, quietly, steadily, one choice at a time. This journey has never been about vanity. It's about vitality. It's about looking in the mirror and seeing a man who hasn't given up on himself, who still has fight, and believes that something better is possible. Because it is. You are not defined by your age. You are not defined by your limitations. You are defined by the actions you choose today. So if there's one message I hope you carry with you, it's this. You are not finished, not even close. Your body, your strength, and your intimacy are not behind you. They are waiting for you to return. And it's not too late to begin again. Take what you've learned here and try one thing, just one. Start stretching. Add beets to your breakfast. Do your first set of pelvic floor exercises. Visualize yourself as strong once again. You don't have to do it all at once. You just need to begin. Because the first step isn't just about the body, it's about reclaiming the belief that growth is still within your reach. As a doctor, I've seen what happens when a man makes that choice. He doesn't just improve in the bedroom, he stands taller, speaks more clearly, and feels more present in every room he enters. That's the power of believing that you still matter, that you still can. So here's to your next chapter, one that's marked not by decline, but by renewal, not by silence, but by strength. You've earned the right to feel alive again, and the best part, you don't need permission. You just need to say yes. Now, go reclaim what's always been yours.